Dr. LaTanya Love and Miss Rhonda Harris, who will be joining us for the Recoloring the Holiday Blues.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Rhonda Harris. I am a student wellness specialist here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. I have been in education for approximately 25 years now, and I've been part of CMS's family for a good 20 years. I'm responsible for supporting the emotional well-being of students and staff and supporting the positive culture and climate that all schools thrive at accomplishing.
Good afternoon, CMS families. I am Dr. LaTanya Love, Mental Health Program Manager for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. I have been a licensed psychologist within our state for over 20 years, and I've been with CMS for 5 years, and within this role as our Mental Health Program Manager for a little over a year. And within this capacity, I have the awesome responsibility of managing our school-based mental health program and our student assistance program that we offer to our students here in CMS. We are so excited to have your engagement today, and we look forward to a wonderful afternoon with us. For today's session, we will focus on 4 primary objectives. Our first objective will be to review key data points from the APA 2023 Holiday Stress Survey. Our second objective will be assisting you all in developing a deeper understanding of the primary causes of stress during the holiday season. Third, we would like to differentiate between clinical depression versus the holiday blues. And finally, we would like to assist you all by helping you to identify coping strategies to manage emotional and financial stress. For today's meeting, we do have a few meeting norms. We ask that you all are respectful of all participants. And Molly has already gone over some opportunities for you all to engage. We do ask that you use that engagement feature to ask questions, and you can use the emoji features as well to react to us, knowing that we would ask for those questions to be held to the end, and we ask that you keep your microphone muted during the presentation. To begin today's conversation, we would like to just really highlight some details that we were able to gather from the American Psychological Association's 2023 Holiday Stress Survey that was conducted. So in November 2023, over 2,000 Americans aged 18 and up were polled to determine the kinds of stress that they typically encounter during the holiday season. What that survey gave us was some very rich information that we will highlight during today's session. First, what we found is that overall, Americans, when you ask them about the holiday season, they are joyous. When it comes to the holiday season, they identify feeling themselves full of joy and being able to gather with friends and families, but they're also identifying feelings of being overwhelmed. Interestingly, 89% of the respondents reported stress during the holiday season. They reported things like missing a loved one, having concerns over not having the financial resources to fully participate in the holiday season, and really not knowing perhaps what type of gift to buy a person in their family. And over 49% of those respondents acknowledged that during the holiday season that typically runs from November to January, they noted moderate levels of stress. And so that's important that we begin to really normalize the language and acknowledge that overwhelmingly, a lot of us are feeling some kind of stress during the holiday season that we certainly want to identify and really begin to talk more about. And 43% indicated that the holiday stress does really impact their ability to enjoy the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, although we enjoy that time together with our friends and family, there is an acknowledgement that this particular time of the year does cause some level of stress that can even impact our ability to fully enjoy this time with our friends and family. So when we take a deeper dive and we look closely at the information that was presented to us in that APA 2023 survey, I think it's interesting to really highlight that there were 10 primary holiday stressors that were noted. And we're going to talk about those 10 right now. And so these are provided to you in rank order from the highest to the lowest. So the biggest cause of stress for those respondents in the survey was around the financial aspect. So first, spending too much or not having enough money to spend. Over 58% of those respondents identified this as a stressor. And it's interesting when you look more at the SES levels. So families that typically earn $50,000 or less reported slightly more stress than those families that earn $100,000 or more. And that's because there is this idea that we may not have the financial resources to fully participate in the giving part of the holiday season. So for some families, that can cause a major amount of stress. And number two was finding the right gift. We often do these lists asking, what would you like Santa to bring you? Or give me a couple of ideas that you would like on your wish list. And so that can cause an amount of stress for some people. So finding the right gift is something that people noted as being a holiday stressor. And number three is something that I think is really important for us to note, especially during this season. Missing family or loved ones was noted by 38% as a holiday stressor. And we do know there's been a lot of interaction with ICE locally and some different things affecting our current climate that could cause some family members who were present last year to not be present in our gatherings this year. And so that can cause some stress for family members. And so I think it's important that we highlight that. And we also highlight that grieving, missing ones who are no longer present in our lives, that can cause an amount of stress for us as well. So it's important that we identify this and be able to talk more about it. Number four, having too much to do. So how many of you, when you look at your holiday calendars, they can be compact, right? You have parties at your kids' schools, you have your things at work, you may have some family gatherings. And so your schedule can become quite overwhelming and packed. And so 32% of respondents identify that having too much to do, that can be a stressor for some. And so we need to think about how can we better manage our time so that we aren't feeling those overwhelming thoughts of stress around a very packed schedule. And so number five, feeling pressure to make the holidays special. We all want to make sure that our holiday season is quite memorable, but we need to note that there can be some pressure associated with that. Having the right decor, having the right gift, having the right feeling in the home, and doing those special family traditions as we welcome Santa or however you choose to celebrate. Doing the elf on the shelf. anything that you do that highlights making this season special, that can cause some stress. So it's important that we note that as well. And so when we look at the last 5 stressors identified in the APA survey, we'll find that food or alcohol related issues can cause some level of stress. What the survey indicated is that there are sometimes positive ways that people are able to cope with stress, but there were some that noted that there were negative things associated with stress as well, including overconsumption of alcohol. So that can be a related stressor as well. Not being able to spend time or be with your loved ones or family. You may live in another state. There may be work schedules that are competing with your family time together. So that can cause some stress as well. Experiencing or anticipating family conflict. And so it's interesting how much this came up within the survey. And so if there are hot button topics that we may want to stay away during the holiday season, we can choose to do that. We can choose to initiate those conversations that are going to be positive and pleasant, and stay away from those things that can cause a chaotic time within our time with our family. And number 9, feeling left out or excluded. So social isolation is often something, and feelings of loneliness. Those are things that we need to be mindful of during this holiday season. So if you have family members who may be single, family members who may not have children or partners, some of those folks can indicate a higher level of stress because they often feel left out or excluded from holiday gatherings and the special activities that come with the holiday season. And finally, traveling. Traveling was noted as a holiday stressor. We often see on the news about flights being canceled and packed airports and flights being delayed, and just the stress around arranging travel during the holiday or being stuck in traffic and the extra time that it takes to travel from one place to the next. And so traveling can cause a heightened amount of stress during this holiday season. So I think it's important for us to highlight that as well. So, in thinking about the stressors that were noted in the 2023 APA survey, I think it's important for us to really take a moment to stop and think about our own holiday stress and to really dial into what are the things that may be causing us stress during this holiday season. Because if we can identify what our personal stressors are, then we can find better ways to manage those things. And that's why we are here today. So I'm going to ask you to either use your cell phones to note your responses, or if you have close to you, maybe a writing utensil, pen, pencil, and something to write on. I'm going to ask you to respond to some statements that are a part of the Magellan Health Clinic Holiday Stress Survey that really just gives us an opportunity to think about our personal stressors during the holidays. And it helps us to begin to build in our own self-management plan so that we can have a less stressful holiday season and a season that's more focused on enjoying the greatness of the holidays. So if you have something to write with, or if you have access to a device where you can track your responses, I ask that you gather those things now while I'll read you our small intro for our holiday quiz that we're about to engage in. So, for many people, the holiday season can bring happiness and excitement. For others, it is dreaded and stressful. The holidays can bring old patterns of behavior, increased anxiety, and the ability to cope can be challenging. Take this quiz to find out if you are a candidate to experience some stress during this season. So, for the first part of this quiz, I'm going to ask you to give yourself 1 point for each statement that you consider to be false for you. So you're going to give yourself 1 point for each statement that you consider to be false. So let's start. I look forward to the holidays with genuine pleasure most of the time. If that's false for you, give yourself a point. If that's true, don't give yourself any points. I look forward to the holidays with genuine pleasure most of the time. The next statement. I know how to set a budget for holiday gifts and stick with it. Again, give yourself a point if that's false for you. Holiday shopping and spending a lot of money on my family and friends are not the most important part of this season. Next statement. I am able to be very realistic about what to expect from myself over the holidays. Again, give yourself a point if that is false for you. I am very realistic of what I can expect from others over the holidays. I have a partner to celebrate the holidays with me. 1 point if that's false. My partner and I work well as a team most of the time. I have family that I enjoy spending time with over the holidays. I have close friends that I enjoy spending time with over the holidays. I am able to schedule downtime for myself on a regular basis. Again, give yourself a point if any of those statements were false for you. So now we'll go to the next part of the quiz. Next slide, please. I take part in some comforting and pleasant holiday rituals and look forward to them every year. 1 point if that is false for you. I know healthy ways to cope if I start to feel overwhelmed. I am not overly scheduled and have a pretty good balance of work, fun, and relaxation. And finally, in this section, I eat healthily, drink alcohol moderately or not at all, and get 30 minutes of aerobic exercise daily. 1 point if that is false. So for our next 5 questions or statements, I'm going to ask that you give yourself 2 points if the statement is false for you. So again, for the last few statements, if any of these statements are false for you, you're going to give yourself 2 points. I have not had any major losses over the last 2 years. I'll repeat that one. I have not had any major losses over the last 2 years. Next statement. I have enough money to cover my basic needs. Again, if that is false for you, you give yourself 2 points. I have enough money to cover my basic needs. And then our last 2 statements. I had a reasonably happy childhood with fond memories of the holidays. Finally, I am never affected by the holiday blues. Give yourself 2 points if that statement is false for you. So if you look at all of the statements that we've had on the last two slides, you're going to now just simply add up a total score for yourself. And what the authors of the survey want us to note, again, this is not something that is typically done in a standardized fashion at a medical appointment or anything like that, but it does give you an idea of the areas that could potentially cause you stress for the holiday season. So what I want you to be aware of is if you have a score of 3 or 4 points, you are indicating that you are a candidate for being burnt out a little over the holidays. And it may be helpful if you talk about your situation with someone, or make sure you have a sounding board or build in some coping strategies around those areas where you find are stressful spots for you. And finally, if you are able to indicate a score of 5 or more, then I really want you to begin thinking seriously about what are those red flag situations for you, and how can you best develop a coping strategy plan to help you during the holiday season, because you have indicated that there are a number of areas that can potentially cause you stress. So now what can we do with that information to ensure that you have the best holiday season and one that is not as stressful? And now I'll turn it over to Ms. Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Love. We just had a wonderfully thorough time looking at the stressors that often are associated with the holidays. And it's very common for us to confuse depression with extreme stress. And we want you to know that depression is a diagnosed mental health condition that interferes with a person's ability to carry out their daily functions. It's characterized by feeling sad or possibly having a loss of interest in once enjoyable activities. And depression is typically the diagnosis given when a person is experiencing a depressed mood, and a majority of the following symptoms that I'm going to describe or list for about 2 weeks. Some of those symptoms include persistent sadness or anxiety, or feeling empty in your mood, feelings of hopelessness or pessimism, feelings of irritability, frustration, or restlessness, feeling guilty, worthless, or helpless, having a loss of interest in the hobbies and activities that once brought pleasure. Also feeling like you have a lack of energy, like your fatigue or your tiredness just doesn't go away. And when you're moving about your day, you might feel slowed down. There might be some difficulty in concentrating or remembering or possibly making decisions. You may have difficulty sleeping, or you might wake up too early or in the middle of the night or oversleeping. And some people experience changes in appetite or have unplanned weight changes, whether your weight increases or decreases. There's some people who have some physical aches or pains. That includes having headaches, cramps, or maybe even your digestive system starts doing things that are different than what they used to. And there's no real clear reason why that could be happening. Or you may be taking medication to relieve it and it's not changing. But there's also sometimes where people are experiencing depression, and that comes with thoughts of death or suicide attempts. So there's a drastic difference between the typical holiday stress we just described and you being persistently feeling sad or having these symptoms or experiences for a prolonged amount of time, with the minimum amount of time being about 2 weeks. And when we are having these feelings, they may grow if we don't attend to them. So our intense emotions happen throughout our lives under different circumstances. And we know that what's happening currently in our community, what's happening nationally, what's happening within our neighborhoods sometimes create these intense emotions that are very normal for us to have. But if we don't have healthy ways to manage these emotions, then it could start to harm the way we behave. It could impact in a harmful way the relationships that we've established or keep us from establishing new healthy relationships. So we want to make sure we effectively manage our emotions to decrease that risk of anxiety and withdrawals, and also decrease the difficulty in controlling our behavior. In the long term, we may experience more conflict and relationship breakdowns, and that could put us more at risk for depression and other mental health conditions. So, as you took that assessment that Dr. Love walked us through, be thinking about those resources and those supports that could be in place that could help mitigate those risks of us being depressed or having other mental health conditions. Some of the ways that we could cope with these emotions or manage our stress are listed right before us. So, in identifying your supports, your community, people that you can rely on, find a person that's safe enough for you to talk it out. And if you don't have a person that you can identify to talk it out, then it's okay to talk with yourself. And one of the activities that we engage, or I like to engage in quite frequently, is with myself, is thinking about what I'm grateful for, declaring my gratitude, engaging in self-care, volunteering your time. There are people that report that when they volunteer doing for other people, that they feel like they get more than out of it than what the people they volunteered for, or whoever they gave their time to helping, might have gotten out of it. And also acknowledging your feelings around the grief and what is it that's causing the grief or feeding those feelings of grief. And one thing that could be a little bit challenging but has some proven results is taking a social media detox. There was a study conducted that we read about through NPR. Mr. John Torres, who is the director of the Division of Digital Psychiatry at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston, along with several colleagues, conducted a study of around 373 participants. And these participants were young adults between the ages of 18 and 24. And what they wanted to do was monitor their engagement with social media. And so they observed them and then they asked them to go on a 1 week detox or several week detox from social media. And of the 373 participants, about 300 of them opted into that detox. And what they realized or what they experienced is that whenever the participants dropped their utilization of social media from 2 hours to 30 minutes, 16% of them said that their anxiety reduced. 24% of them said that their depressive symptoms kind of minimized. And 14 or a little bit over 14% of them said they had a decrease in insomnia or not being able to sleep. What I thought was really interesting in this study is that the participants didn't decrease their screen time, meaning they were holding those phones, those iPads, those laptops and computers. They were still on their screens for the same amount of time. However, they were doing other things while on the screen. So some of the ways that we've mentioned on this slide to manage stress, such as reading a book, you can use your Kindle to read a book or use your iPad to read a book. You can practice art. Art doesn't have to be drawing. It could be dance. It could be media. You could do all kinds of things. So we want you to know that there are other ways that you can bring some joy and some fulfillment in your life in managing stress. Financial coping was one of the first things mentioned when Dr. Love talked about the APA study. And so at the holiday time, when we're spending money on providing those wonderful meals, selecting gifts for our loved ones, even travel, we are spending and not saving as much as we would like to. So, a part of the coping involves planning and preparing for what you're going to spend your money on and making sure that there is a budget that you can stick to. Not going outside of your budget means you will have to prioritize. If you know that there's a certain amount of income that you have or resources, you might decide to get creative in your prioritization. If you have a large family, I've heard some of my students and families say that they choose numbers so that they don't have to buy gifts for 12 family members. They're just buying one gift for the person that they selected the number for. And avoid creating unrealistic expectations. If you know that your work schedule doesn't allow you to travel to another state to visit family, don't lead your family members on and thinking that you're going to show up and you're going to bring their favorite dish. You may have to ship their favorite dish through USPS in order for them to feel like there's a piece of you there with them. So avoid creating those unrealistic expectations where you begin to put pressure on yourself to perform in a certain way that you can't meet that expectation. And I'm going to throw it back to Dr. Love.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. So we've had an opportunity to share with you what some of the common stresses are that have been identified, but also share what are some possible coping strategies that can be implemented to help you to recolor these holiday blues, right? So when you are feeling down, what are some things that we can do, that you can do to better cope and manage that emotional process? So now is an opportunity for you, if you are willing to engage with us, to drop in the chat ways that may be helpful for you to recolor your holiday blues. So if you are finding yourself feeling strapped financially, if you are finding yourself missing a loved one because of grief, because of an inability to travel to see that person, if you are finding yourself joyous but overwhelmed during this holiday season, what are some things that you can do to better manage that? Maybe it is taking a walk after a meal. Research shows that taking a walk, a short 10-minute walk after a meal, really does begin to alter our brain chemistry and begins to help us to feel better following that short burst of energy. Maybe it's calling a person more. Although I may not be able to see this person during my holidays at my home or at a local gathering, I can still pick up the phone and call. I can send a card. I can let the person know that we are still connected, although I will not be in their physical presence on that day. I can focus on an experience. One of the things that I started doing a few years ago is, instead of spending a lot of money on gifts, I started spending money on experiences where I would give my niece and nephews $20 and say, hey, I have $20 for you for a gift. You can either go to the store and buy something with this money, or we can take it and go to the trampoline park. We can take this money and go ride go-karts today. They love that idea because they took that money and we all went and enjoyed go-karts for the day. So instead of giving them a gift that they would open and probably put aside and wait for the next gift, we enjoyed our connection time together and started focusing on family experiences that really extended our time together, right? And that's a part of their memory. because kids get so many gifts. If you watch kids open gifts on Christmas Day, they get so many gifts, but they end up playing with maybe one or two. And so once I realized that, I said, well, wait a minute, I can spend my money wisely here by focusing on experiences versus overspending on gifts. And so, what are some things that you can do to really reshape and rethink how you are better managing your time, your stress level during the holiday season? And you can drop that into the chat.
We've had a few of our families share going outside as a
Yes.
strategy with our holiday blues. Another family member shared, I like what you said about setting a budget. Great information is another kudos from our crowd.
Yes, yes. Going outside, so important. And the thing about going outside, you can include multiple generations in that. You can have grandparents, parents, and children all involved in going outside and just taking a walk. And so I love being able to have activities that are multi generational. And so think about that. Think about what are some things that you can do during this holiday season. And it can be watching a movie, popping some popcorn, having a family game night. Those were some of my fondest childhood memories whenever we would play games or whenever my mom would bake cookies and we would all gather in the kitchen and just wait for the cookies to come out of the oven. And we were enjoying a family treat together. So, although they may be small things, they are big things in terms of creating lifelong memories for not only you, but those who are close to you in your family. So, thank you all so much for sharing that.
And families, if you have any questions for our presenters, please feel free to add them to the Q&A at this time. We'll come back to any questions that appear at the end of today's session.
And now we'll turn it over to Ms. Harris, who will just go through some positive affirmations with us to help us during this holiday time.
We talked about screen time, so it's okay for you to take a picture of this slide so that you can use this once our session is over. But sometime throughout your day is always a great idea to use some affirmations, morning, midday, or in the evening. And some of the affirmations we rely upon, Dr. Love and myself, include these. State to yourself every now and again, and you could do it now, I am worth taking care of myself each day. Only I am in control of my life. My yes means yes, and my no means no. My plate is full of people and things I am blessed to have in my life. We challenge you to adopt one of those affirmations and use them for about a week and check yourself and decide if you feel a difference around your holiday stress or this time of year stress that you might be experiencing. And let us know what results you have.
And here we just wanted to provide a few resources that may be helpful as you are thinking about your stress level or the stress level of those around you. So NAMI Charlotte, National Alliance on Mental Illness, they have a great Charlotte branch with a number of resources for students, parents, and for the whole family. And so we've provided a link there in the presentation for you so you can research and look at all of the wonderful opportunities that this organization offers. If you recognize that you may be interested in finding a therapist, talking with someone, given how you are feeling or have been feeling for some time. If you realize that what you are feeling has been something that has lasted for 2 or more weeks, and it may be more of a significant medical issue versus holiday stress, then you can certainly connect with a therapist to determine if what you are experiencing is something that would be identified as a mental illness, or if it is more normalized holiday stress. And you can find a therapist locally. We provided a link through Psychology Today, and you can certainly do a search by your zip code, by the area of concern, to find a provider who may be a good fit to connect with you to better help you as you are navigating this season and moving forward. Mental Health America offers a number of resources. We just went to a local conference that they hosted that was absolutely amazing. And so we provided their link here as well. They offer a number of resources, again, for students, parents, and the whole family. And so please connect with them to see if they have any resources that you would benefit from for you or your family. Teen Health Connection is a great local nonprofit organization within the Charlotte-Mecklenburg community. They have a new executive director, Dr. Jennifer Mason, and they do phenomenal work where they focus on those who are age 15 to 25. They offer behavioral health as well as integrated medical health. Services. And so if you would like your teens connected to an organization that provides mental health as well as physical health resources, please check out their nonprofit organization and the resources there. They also offer parent groups. And so they may have topics coming up that you would like to learn more about. So please check out their parent engagement area on their website to see if there's an opportunity for you to learn more as well. And finally, we do recognize that sometimes we may find ourselves in crisis or those closest to us may be in crisis. And so we provided information for the 988 hotline. So if you ever found yourself in a situation where you were experiencing suicidal ideation or significant thoughts of wanting to harm yourself or someone else, please reach out for support. And there is a national hotline available there. You can share that information with those in your family so that they are also aware that that resource is available. And it's just 3 numbers that you have to dial, 988. So please check out that resource as well. And within CMS, we have a great program called School-Based Mental Health, where we partner with 15 local agencies who are able to provide on-site clinical therapy, outpatient mental health therapy on our campuses to our students. We currently have 178 of our 187 schools connected to our program. And so one of those agencies will be connected to one of those 178 schools. And so we have an alphabetized list of the mental health partners that we currently have within our community here. And so if you are interested in learning more about the partner at your child's school, please reach out to the Student Support Services team at your child's school to learn the name of your partner. We also have a link available on our CMS website under Student Wellness and Academic Support to give you an idea of the agency assigned to the respective school. But if you would like to learn more about how your child can receive on-campus mental health support, we can certainly provide that through our school-based mental health program. So please click one of those links to learn more, but to know specifically about the agency assigned to your child's school, please reach out to the Student Services team on your child's campus.
Families,
And
thank
before we close, yeah, I was just going to say, Molly, please let us know if we have any questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Love and Ms. Harris, for sharing such valuable information as we enter into the holiday season. We have not had any questions added into our Q&A, but we did have a great information, and thank you for sharing this info. So thank you so much for taking the time to share these resources with our families. Families, thank you for joining us and engaging as we approach our winter break. We hope everyone has a safe and wonderful holiday season. If there's anything you need, please feel free to reach out to the Student Wellness and Support Team or the Family Engagement Department. Thank you and have a wonderful day.